Hello.
Good evening. Hi, Nermin. Hi, Rania.
Hi, Dana.
How's everybody today? Rania, you in your PJs again?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah. And I try and push myself because it's 8 o'clock here. I
Yeah.
try and push myself, but like by 9:15, I'm like, I can't do this.
If
But
it's
anyway, I'll
any,
wait
yeah, if it's
until.
any comfort, I'm in my PJs from the waist down. So
Okay, good.
no judgment here. How are you, ladies? Hi,
Oh, good.
Sandra. All right.
Hi.
Uh, let's do a quick check-in today before we get into Siddhartha. Who finished the book?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know. I'm in chapter 10. So
Chapter.
is this the last one? Because I had to listen to it, and not to buy because
Oh,
by the time I ordered, it would have arrived after our call, today.
Siddhartha. I don't know. I mean, I don't have it numbered, the chapters. I
Yeah.
have them it's titled. So I don't know.
Titled the Sun. I'm in the one
Oh,
that's called the Sun.
okay. لا لسه you have a few more after the sun.
I
Mm.
think two chapters after.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
almost done. That's about. I have two more chapters.
Okay. Hi, Layla. All right. I'm just checking to see who has actually finished the book. You guys are obviously going to be okay.
Hello.
Hi. Um, you're going to be okay. Obviously, we have to talk about the ending, but it's all right. Okay. First thoughts about this book. Anybody? Initial reactions to it.
It's actually very interesting.
Hmm.
It's but it's again, it's one of those books that you need to really reflect
Mm-hmm.
in some areas, not to actually take it as it's written, as if it's just a mere story, because I believe, this is my understanding, that there are like hidden meanings or things that needs to be seen in a different way. He has a very interesting journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I per- I I personally like the idea about how what he my when he spoke to Buddha. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my if I'm still in chapter 10, so I don't know, maybe something else I like afterwards, but the discussion he had about the importance of him finding his own journey and not to be taught to do certain rituals or to do things in a certain way, and this is the only way of how you interact with the God.
Mm.
So far, that this part was very interesting, and it actually shows it's confirmed with his journey. If we're
Yeah.
talking about Siddhartha per se, it's confirmed with his journey that he had to go all the way to come back.
Okay. Yeah.
This is how, this is so far but it's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the gist of this book, really. It is about the search, the journey of self-discovery, the search for enlightenment, the search, reaching a goal, um, and then sort of going through teachers, tools, protocols, process, going off track, coming back on track, and then ultimately discovering that what?
Yeah.
That you can do all of this without outsourcing it all the time. That the path to yourself, whatever you want to call it, spiritual awakening, personal discovery, religious, maybe it's a religious discovery. What he ended up doing is ultimately coming back to himself. At least this is what I see.
Yes.
Coming back within.
Especially
Mm.
think that there's a long there's a whole chapter about the issue of the river.
Mhm.
And I think it's actually as well as another resemblance of like it's always flowing. It's like things always moving, things always developing into certain things, and then it rests in a certain way.
Yep.
So it's more or less like you said. Then it's like things move, but then you come back to yourself, and this is where you find the answers. It's in you.
The river is a very, very central.
For me,
Yeah, go ahead, Rania.
no, I at the beginning I was a bit confused when I started the book. As I read through it, it really resonated with me. Like you said, the his self-discovery. He's with around same-minded people, and then he changes, and then he settles, and he's happy where he is, and then he has to, going and coming, which is actually what's happening with us, and having like I had said on the group that having, I can't remember where the quote was, having a group like him, he kept moving from group to group until and just having same people around him that supported his idea, whichever stage he was in. For me, it was just, I loved the book where I'm at. I thought it was very familiar, and where you're comfortable, and then you're bored from comfort, or not from comfort, from what you've learned, that you need to relearn and find different ways of seeing things or handling stuff. Yeah, I loved it.
Delia.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I loved the book as well. I loved how he thought about different phases of life. He approached them differently. And it reminded me of Never Say Never, saying never say never, because he was like, those are the childlike people, but then one day he was just like them.
Mm.
So you do change and you do go through different phases until you discover who you really are. I love this part.
Oh, definitely. Laila.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
There are actually some things that I liked. At first, I thought I will not be able to go through it, but there was some times where I had to put it away. I had to, I wanted to read and read and read, so it was surprising for me. I like the way that he explained everything, like how he changed and how he moved from one group to the other. And what resonated with me was there were two things. One thing is the son, how he at the end discovered or his relationship with his son and mirrored himself to his own father, like he has to let go and everyone has to go through his experience on his own. And at the end, the river and how he explained the oneness, no? This was very nice because I've been reading about it, but it was never explained in such a detailed and smooth way. It's very simple. I like the simplicity of how he explained everything.
Dina, I think that's you. iPhone.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, guys. I'm just like Layla. The first time I started reading the book, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to enjoy this. It seems quite boring, the first couple of pages. And I was like, okay, why are we even reading this? How can I relate to it? you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then as I started going into the book itself, it was like, oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. It hits home.
Mm.
In page 30, the last page of that chapter where he says, the Buddha has robbed me. He has robbed me and yet given me more. He has robbed me of my friend, he who believed in me and he who believes in him, he who was my shadow and who is now his shadow, but he has given me Siddhartha, he's given me myself. This was so powerful. This was so powerful. It spoke to me, and it's just like there is a lot of aha moments in the book where you're like, oh, you know, you stop and you reread it again and you go back, and it's like the chapter of awakening where he's trying to discover himself.
Mm.
And I think, like Dahlia was saying, is that, and Rania as well, is that we're always on this like journey where we're trying to find where we stand. What is this new chapter? Where are we heading? How can we self-soothe ourselves, right? And
Mm-hmm.
take care of ourselves as much as we can, because if we don't, like you previously said, no one will. So I really enjoyed reading the book.
Amazing. Anybody else? First reflections, thoughts, feelings?
Hi.
Amira.
Hi, Dana. Hi, ladies. I can add something which is, I mean, maybe I'm not sure if it spoiled, the book for me, but I couldn't help but stop at the parallels, like between, the message, whatever, or the messages of the book and what we do and what we're doing as a group together. Especially, so one thing that stands out, this thing about, the experience or the wisdom that it cannot be taught, and that you have to go through it yourself. And that reminds me, of you, in different groups when, okay, like sort of you give us the tools, but then each one has her own blueprint, her own take of things, also the thing about the feminine energy, okay, and how we do things at our own pace, and how I also thought about the Thursday checklist, okay. So we stand, we stand at different points, okay, and we reach, the destination, and the journey could be similar, but at the same time it is different, to each of us.
Yeah.
So I guess there was always those parallels, as I was reading. Also, one thing, the metaphor about the river and about, again, feminine energy, like how we like sort of resemble the river, like we are still, okay, yet there's also a flow and we're never the same. So I think this was, yes, the, most things that just stuck with me, again, the parallels about what we are doing now and us reading as well. So
Definitely these parallels were coming at me, but I think yesterday, as I was just looking at it again, it actually hit me. You can draw so many parallels to any kind of journey that you're going on in your life, right? Like a religious journey, a personal discovery, self-discovery. But specifically, I was like, how does this apply to health? Like the physical journey, right? It's not a spiritual one, but like the physical journey that we're going through to heal. And then it's the exact same process. And I guess it's just the way that humans seek to find answers. And at the beginning, when you come to fix your physical issues, you're looking for answers. Like, I need to fix something. Something is not working. I have an autoimmune. I have this ache. I have this pain. I have this symptom. And then you're given the tool by a teacher, a guru, a coach, a book, whoever it is, right? And it says, this is the way to do it. You need to cut out all white flour. You need to do this. It's very strict. It's about a lot of control at the beginning of the process. And you need a lot of discipline. which is what he was doing. Lots of control, lots of self-discipline. And we do that. We feel like we need to do that to fix the body. I'm going to balance the body so I can get rid of my symptoms. And then at some point in the process, you're like, like, do I really need all of this self-discipline? Do I really need all of this control? Like, so what if I go and have cake every week? So what if I wake up and have my coffee every day? There's a bit of, you get bored, you get tired, you are disillusioned, whatever it is. You just decide like I can't be in like this extreme self-discipline all the time. And then you decide, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let go of the discipline. And then you have this sort of, and let me know if this resonates with you, but I literally saw this trajectory of what I see with myself and my clients literally through the chapters of this book. And then once you go through that, then you go through the whole questioning. Well, then why did I do that? Why did I go through all that discipline? I want to live my life. I want to enjoy things with my family. I want to go out. I want to travel. I want to eat. And then you just go through this process of questioning what is the point of everything that you're doing. And then you take a break, maybe, right? You just decide, you know what? I'm just going to let myself take a step back. I'm going to let myself go back to eating everything I used to eat before. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And then all your symptoms might come back again, and you realize, okay, so maybe letting go completely is not the thing. So let me go back to another teacher. Maybe I need more teaching. Maybe I need more help. Maybe I need more outsourcing. Okay. So you go back to another teacher, another way of learning something, a different perspective on doing it. You learn it. You go through the cycle again, the control, the self-discipline. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hold myself accountable. And then again, you go through the disillusionment. Doesn't quite work the way you thought it would. It doesn't fill you up quite the way that you thought it was going to fill you up. And you kind of go through this cycle a few times until you realize that what you've been outsourcing for too long. You keep going and looking for this. If we're going to talk about physical health specifically, you're going to go to this coach, do the program, works. Then you fall back. It doesn't work. Okay, let me try another coach. Let me try another nutritionist. Let me try this one. Let me try this way of eating. And you try all these different methods. As what he was doing, he was going through the different, he went really strict, and then he went and explored his sensuality and sexuality, and then he went and explored materialism. He went through different phases of figuring out what works for him. And then finally, he just came back to himself and said, you know what? I don't need to be fixed. I don't need to be fixed. I'm good. I don't need another teacher. I don't need another guru. I don't need another method. I don't need another ideology. And he just decided to, from what I can see, and ultimately the goal of when you're healing yourself, this is where you want to end up as well, is that at a certain point you free yourself, stop outsourcing your health and your thoughts and how you take care of yourself, and you just trust yourself. This is what I feel he does by the end of this. He trusts himself. He doesn't need the continuous affirmation or advice or accountability. He just trusts himself. And then that was the end of the trajectory.
Yeah. Yes.
Did this resonate for anybody that way? No? How many of you, if we were going to say that this is phases of healing?
Yes, Dana, it did. For me, I totally agree to everything you've been saying. Like I said, the whole book really hits home with different parts of it here and there.
If we were to look at
the that I would like sort of like start the day by saying, I'm full, I'm enough, I'm loved, and I love myself. You know, and sometimes when I get out, I feel like, oh, am I being too selfish? Like, is this normal, what I'm saying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then reading this book, and that's my journey.
Mm.
And this is who I am.
And that's what the healing looked like all along. Sorry, ladies, my internet disconnected for a second. Dina, you were saying, I was commenting on what you're saying. So this is what healing probably looks like all along. It's a process. There isn't something where you necessarily, I mean, yes, with physical healing, we see a difference in symptoms, see things reversed, but that actually healing is, what do I want to say about this? At some point, it's just more about less doing and more being. Whatever it is that needs to be fixed. Instead of adding more things, adding more food plans, more protocols, more restrictions, more discipline. Maybe it's about doing less. Rania. Rania, you have your hand up or just...
Hi, hello?
I can hear you, Rania. I think we can hear you.
Okay.
I think it's Dana.
Dana.
It's Dana.
I think
Okay.
Dana has been disconnected.
No, I'm
Okay.
here. Okay, how's that? Okay, are we all back, ladies, or not?
What works for me might not work for you. Like everyone's different.
Mhm.
And I think with this group, it's we've tried different things, but where we are, we're more confident and just understanding that everyone has a different journey. Even though we're all together and we're all supporting one another, بس مثلا what works for me مثلا حاجة هبلة like مثلا food مثلا what works مثلا and I can have potato with مثلا chicken and it's fine with me. Someone else it doesn't work for them. But it's just like a just figuring out and knowing knowing what works for you.
Delia.
I also liked the part at the end, the chapter. Then, when he accepted himself, he started accepting others as well, and he didn't belittle anyone else. It's not. I think it was written. It was not laughable to him anymore.
Mm.
So he did accept everyone exactly where he is.
This one was a sort of an ouch moment. I mean, I'm going to admit to it, right? When you go through a process like this, and when let's just stay with food specifically, and when you see how it can harm you, how it can create disease, and then you fix yourself at some point, not out of any maliciousness necessarily, but you will look at other people who are completely oblivious to this, and at the very least, you wonder, aren't they even curious? And then there's a whole range of thoughts you can have about that. How are they doing this to themselves? Aren't they even curious? Don't they want to know? And it can come from a place of I mean, sort of condescension. It can be, and you can maybe there's a mocking, not empathizing. I think I have definitely gone through this. I think everybody here who has gone through this physical process at some point will go through this. And then we come back to reminding ourselves, that first of all, this is what we used to be, right? So what are we laughing at? What are we making fun of? This was just me last year, I was in the same place. And then when you definitely reach that phase of just self-acceptance, and that, first of all, you're not perfect. You're not 100% disciplined 100% of the time, eating perfectly 100% of the time. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's at a different phase in their lives. Then that acceptance, and you can't mock or even criticize or even mildly in your head go to that place anymore of questioning why aren't they doing this, and it's just pure oneness with people, that everybody's just on a different path, and whether or not they get to a realization or they awaken to something is each to his own, and not your responsibility, and not yours to judge.
Yeah, I think it was about being judgmental.
Yeah. It's a good thing to lose, definitely, along the journey. Well, if we were to look at this in phases, so let's say there's like the phase where you realize you have to fix a problem, and then the phase where you go and seek the help and seek the program and your discipline, and then the phase where you question the whole thing, maybe a bit of disillusionment, and then you kind of repeat all of those three phases again, and then you decide to just sort of be your own healer and listen to yourself and stop outsourcing your health. Which phase do you think you're at, each one of you? What's so funny, Amira? Why are you laughing?
I'm trying to think in which phase, I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like I'm different phases are overlapping
Yeah?
a bit. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm in the phase where I'm learning to listen to myself.
Yeah?
I mean, it's a soothing thought.
Mm.
Yeah, but then sometimes I feel like, I still need some sort of validation, external validation, and just comes in the way, to stop listen to myself and trust myself.
Mm.
I think, yeah, this is where.
Anybody else? Where do you think you're at?
I feel I know and understand, and I understand things, and I'm capable of healing, but I I constantly need, like, I constantly need not validation, but like support, just because I feel that everyone around me is so different.
Mm.
The way they think, or where they're at in life is different. So I always need to, I guess, yeah, validation, or the support of people that are going through the same journey like me, and are at the same, more or less, stage that I'm in.
Okay.
I'm like Rania and like Amira, basically. I'm in the same boat, and this is why most probably I joined this group again, for the detoxing or the reading, the book club or whatever. This was my way of trying to help myself get back on the track, follow the right path. Especially like Rania was saying, is that we are surrounded by people who are so different from us, the majority of the people that we're surrounded with. Not the same mindset, not the same life stage, not the same health problems, not the same many things, right?
Mm.
And then you're just by yourself and you're trying to figure out, oh my God, am I the weird one or am I okay?
Yes.
You know? Even my husband, we were sitting having dinner last night and he was questioning me about what I'm doing. And it's like, don't you think it's enough what you're doing? Like, is some kind of torture, or what is this that you like? It's enough, you know? Even
Mm.
though he was on board with a couple of your detoxes and he found that was great, but this
Yeah.
fruit thing, he found it like extreme.
Mm.
And he was like, oh, I don't think that's healthy, you know? It's like, okay, but I think it is, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm fine with that, and just like, don't talk to me like this kind of thing, you know? Just don't put me down. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And I think it's always gonna be a journey in progress.
Mm.
I think we will never stop learning. We will never stop healing because every stage in our life needs some sort of discipline,
Yeah.
a different way of dealing with things, right?
Yes.
So, and having these kind of groups like we have right now is amazing because I came out with a couple of more friends that I would keep in touch with because they would be the people that are going to anchor me.
Mm.
You know, they're going to be the people that would be sticking by my side when I feel like, oh, you know what, I'm getting this guilt trip again of why are you not doing this? Why are you doing that? Or guilting my own self and saying, oh, but you know what, today I cheated on this. And then they would like come back and say, don't talk to yourself like this, you know? And I would definitely say thank you to Basma. She's amazing. She
Mm.
is amazing.
Mm.
Rania as well. I love both of you guys. And these are like the people that I've been in touch with recently quite often. But and yourself, Dana, again. So definitely, support is needed.
So
Thank you, guys.
thank you. So do you feel you would ever reach the point that Siddhartha reached? He complete fulfillment, um, complete
I don't know.
self-actualization. He
I
doesn't need,
wish.
yeah.
I wish. I wish. It's tough. It's tough in today's world. It's
Yeah.
tough, you know, because you're either being judged by your own self or by the people around you.
Yeah.
You know, I can't live in isolation, and that's another thing, right?
Mm.
Or like again, I'm thinking of, okay, now I'm 53. I'm heading to an age where I want to be who I want to be,
Mm.
live in peace,
Mm.
have serenity. And so, where would I choose to live to have that? So, that's the big question. Because if I live, let's say, in Montreal, or if I decide to go back and live in Cairo, or if I decide to go live somewhere in Europe, where will I get that? For me, that's the first step to just like reaching a point where I put my foot down and say, okay, I'm just gonna take a small apartment in God knows where and be by myself with my husband, definitely. I mean, the kids, halas, they've grown, they have their lives and everything.
Mm.
Just me and him, and then we just have a peaceful life. That's it. And maybe then I would say, oh, you know what? I reached that point where he is okay with himself, by himself.
Do you think that needs a physical location in order for you to feel that?
Personally, for me, yes,
Yeah.
because the distractions are a lot.
Mm.
Like I said, the distractions, the judgment, the surroundings. I think it's for me. It comes and it would be coming in a different setting than where I'm actually at right now. You know,
Mm.
having that great weather where you don't have to like take a million coats on you and hats and boots and whatnot, and you know, just sitting by the sea, enjoying that breathe, and not every day, but you know, having that kind of quality of life, kind of.
I think I mean Siddhartha does that. He does change locations in order, that's part of his journey of self-discovery. Where does he finally find that peace? It wasn't in the city center. It wasn't with the materialism. It wasn't with all the people. It wasn't with Kamala. It was in the simplest way of living, near the river with just a boat and a hut. So it always feels like when we're being taught about, being happy and being at peace with yourself, that it should be just, it comes from within you, fine, but that then you should just be able to carry that wherever you go. But I do feel exactly, what you're saying, Dina. It's much harder. It's much harder. Yes, you can generate that inner peace. You can generate the accomplishment, the harmony, being with your spouse, curating that life that you want. But it just somehow, people just don't leave you alone, so just constantly being slammed and then having to reconfigure and having to always be on top of your thoughts. And so it is always something, I think, that, I do have to agree with you that maybe when we find that physical space, the place in the world, maybe where you can, maybe not 100%, but at least tick off most of the boxes, then we'll have that nearly fulfilled, almost 100% fulfilled. But with Siddhartha, did you guys look up the meaning of Siddhartha, of his name? Did anybody do that? No? I did. Let me see. So Siddhartha basically, so what he does that, so he generates his own inner peace and inner knowing that doesn't need to be outsourced to anyone. And then he also finds a place where he can sit and live in that inner knowing and inner peace. But what his name actually means is two parts. Siddha means accomplished and fulfilled and perfected. And Artha is purpose, meaning, and goal. So together, he's basically the one who has accomplished his goal. End of story. And I think, and what he's trying to teach us through all of this is that it's not about actually the perfection of the life, but it is really about once you go through the process of external teachings, external learning, external sources, the perfection comes from at some point you let go of all of that 100%. So he's not even going to do what we're doing here. There's no check-ins, there's no support group, there's nothing. It just comes from within. The support comes from within. The validation comes from self within. And that's why, if you guys remember that one, when Govinda, when he comes back to him at the very end, it doesn't recognize him at first. Govinda hasn't quite reached that level of where he doesn't need a teacher, where he doesn't need somebody to guide him. He's still kind of on that journey. You see him, he's still traveling. He's still trying, he's still seeking. He doesn't recognize someone who doesn't need to seek anymore. And like you said, most people, the same way that most people will look at you and think you're a weirdo, they're like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? How are you eating this way? They don't recognize, it's hard to relate to somebody who is completely becoming self-sufficient, completely thinking outside the box, thinking beyond the mainstream, taking decisions when it comes to their health that are completely potentially the opposite of what mainstream says. People can't relate to that. And we saw that in the book when Govinda, right, comes to him. He can't recognize him physically, but we know this just he's not able to relate to somebody who doesn't need to look outwards for his wisdom anymore. So when anybody starts to do that, that's what I feel. And when any of us start to rely on our inner wisdom, we become strange to people who don't get that or too afraid to do that. Nermin, I feel I know more than what I used to. This holistic approach is very different as it's food and so many other things. I feel I'm in touch with myself more. I am more present. Yeah. Delia, go ahead.
I think also age matters
Mm.
because definitely, so he reached this acceptance when he was old.
Yes.
And I think the wisdom, it comes with age, no matter what you do. So I did have what you say, what you just said. 7 years ago, I was living by the beach, and it was lovely, and I love nature, and it was amazing. But I didn't have the inner peace. I was still seeking things from others. I didn't have the acceptance.
Mm.
So now I'm living in a city, but now I'm more in control of what I want, although I was almost living alone.
Mm.
But I was 33 then, so I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Do you think you could go back to that beach city and still feel what you're feeling now?
Yes, I did love it, but it was not the phase was different.
Yes.
My knowledge was different, my views were different. So it needs everything to be working together.
So you feel like it needs to be a combination of sort of hitting that sweet spot of age, where you've accumulated that wisdom, that inner knowing, the not being afraid to trust yourself, plus being in the right place at the right time.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Sandra.
Hi.
Hello.
So what I liked actually, so at the beginning, when I started reading the book, I was hesitant about it.
Why?
I didn't really enjoy it, and then I loved it. I don't know. I was just I was like, it was throwing me off. He came out like I could sense he was very cocky. So it turned me off a little bit.
Okay.
And then when he started, okay, when he started going to the city, and he it felt more approachable, then I liked the book more.
When
And then
he started behaving more
when things went down for him, it's like, okay,
so
sorry.
when he was behaving sort of like less of a saint, he was a bit more relatable in the city.
Right, we more approachable more to him now. And then, but then when things fell down, like really down, I was disappointed again. It's like, okay, I thought maybe he could have both, but I mean, so that's and then it says now Siddhartha also got some idea of why